This is a video walkthrough of our website design questionnaire form. I'm going to go through and explain each question and what it is we're looking for. I'll go ahead and skip over the basic name and company phone number. Those are obviously pretty straightforward. Okay, so once we're down to the first real question, the question here is, what are your website goals? So a website goal is the primary objective of the website. What is it meant to do? Is it to drive sales, spread brand awareness, generate leads? Maybe it's to communicate through a blog. Maybe it's to show off a gallery. Whatever the overarching goal or goals are of the website, that's what we need listed here. So let's do an example. My website needs to generate leads for my construction company. Okay, and if you have more than one goal, feel free to list both of them here. The next one is to describe your target audience. So your target audience are the individuals or businesses that you're trying to attract with your website. Be as specific and as precise as possible. So maybe you're looking for doctors with a private practice on the East Coast, or maybe your website's meant for stay-at-home parents with children under 10 who enjoy baking. Whatever the case may be, describe your target audience here with as much detail as you can. The precision aspect I'm asking for is that you only list characteristics of your audience that you can back up with data or experience. So as an example, with the stay-at-home parents with children under 10 who enjoy baking, perhaps you assume that stay-at-home moms are more inclined to read about baking with their children. If you have not actually experienced that to be the case, or you don't have any data to back that up, and you're not sure, maybe dads are equally as likely to enjoy that information, don't describe any details here that you don't actually have experience or data to support, because you may be pigeonholing yourself and missing out on a section of your potential audience. So we'll go ahead and type the audience in here. Okay, so as you can see, I've put my potential audience in here. Below that, it asks for your USP, or your unique selling proposition. That's really just a fancy way of asking what makes you different, what makes you stand out. If you and your competition were standing side by side, what about your business or your product would make them pick you? That could be your hands-on approach, maybe it's your customer service, or the uniqueness of your product, a warranty you offer. It could be a specific point of view you hold, your experience, any number of things. It could certainly be more than one thing, could be more than 4 things. All that we're asking is you be thorough and honest. Try to avoid cliches and buzzwords, things like satisfaction guaranteed. Those really won't do you much good. Those are words that are thrown around all too often. They kind of roll off our backs now as consumers. Things like organic, gluten-free, twice as large. These start to become kind of a blur after a while. So you really do need to think about what makes you stand out, what makes you special, and communicate that as best as you can here. Okay, so let me type in an example here. Okay, so obviously this is a little bland as I just made it up, but the idea is still the same. I'm explaining what makes my company different. Again, this is simply an example. I would never hire anyone with only 2 years of experience. So the next point on here is how many pages does your website need? So this is a fairly straightforward question, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what actually defines a page so you have an idea. And this is subject to potentially change. You may end up needing an extra page or an extra couple pages, but it's important to have this information up front to help draw an accurate estimate. So we'll use our website as an example again. As you see up here in the menu, there are 6 different items. Of these 6 different items, only 3 of these are their own page. So home is obviously the page I'm on here. That's one page. Contact, again, is its own page. So that makes 2. The about is its own page. So that makes 3. But these 3, web design, other services, classroom, these are actually categories. So if I click on them, they don't go anywhere, which means they're not actually a page. However, the categories below them, these are pages. So custom websites is its own page, 599 websites is its own page, so on and so forth. So in total, there are 3 primary pages up here, and then 2 here, 3 here, and 3 here, making a total of 11 pages. So really think about what content you would like to go on what page. It can be helpful to write that down on paper sometimes, and then once you have a good idea of the number of pages, go ahead and list them here. Below that is what website functions do you need? So a website function is something your website does beyond just showing content and copy and those types of things. So as an example, again using our site, what you can see is there's writing here, there's photos here, so on and so forth, but there's also a contact form right here. There's a contact button in the top right. There's more contact buttons and forms on the left. More contact buttons here. Below that, there's a gallery. Below that, there is another form, more buttons. There's an area to check out and buy items, so there's e-commerce functionality. There is an automatic counter, and there's a FAQ section, and this is just on the first page. So these are all additional functions that our website does on top of the standard content. So these are things you would need to list. So as an example, so these are just a few examples, but contact button, contact forms, pop-up maybe, live chat, gallery, these are all additional functions that if you need them on your site, we need them listed here because those require extra coding and we need to be able to provide them on the estimate. Below that is same question 3 times, which is to give example websites that you like so that they can give kind of a, start to give shape to what your website will look like. We're not looking to copy these. This is more to understand your sense of style and your business. So I've got 2 different examples I'll use here. But the first thing it's asking for is the URL of the website you like, which a URL is what shows up here in the search bar. So the first one we'll use is Simply Chocolate. I actually do like their website. So as you can see, I copied the URL, which is up here, and you can then hit Control-C to copy it, or you can right-click and copy it. Come back to our page, hit Control-V, or you can right-click and paste. You can do this on a phone as well. Just hold it with your finger over the URL, copy, and then hold it over the box and paste. So once I have the URL in there, I'm going to review the site and point out the things that I actually like about it. So the first thing that I like is I like the vivid imagery. I like all the colors here. I like the large photo. I like their font style, this big bold font. I like how this picture of this chocolate bar moves with the page. It's an animation is what we'd call that. I like that this image here in the background of this caramel and this chocolate is slightly sliding up at all times. I like how the menu here is sideways. I actually like quite a bit about this. I like these drastic color changes as I scroll down. So these are all things I like about this site. So what I would do is I would take a pen and paper and write down all the things I like. Once I had those, I'd come back here to the second box where it says what do you like and put them down in detail. So as you can see, I've listed a couple of the things I mentioned here, and I put enough detail where the person reading it can take a look and understand. So I mentioned the large photo and that the photo has a lot of color and stands out. I mentioned the sideways menu. I mentioned the drastic color changes when you're scrolling. And I mentioned the moving animation on the page, how it makes the page really feel alive. So these are some things I liked about the site. I've listed them here. This now is going to give a clearer picture of my sense of style as well as the things I'm looking for on my own site. So the next example is Zillow. You'll copy and paste the same way. Now Zillow is obviously a much more restrained style. It's much more professional looking, which is why I wanted to show the contrast, because you can still point out the same types of things, just maybe different language. So what I do like about Zillow is I like how their menu is segmented into two main parts here. I like that their logo is centered and very clean. It's very clear against this white background. I like the three find it, tour it, own it up here. I like how that's written and stands out. I like the consistent imagery and how these scale, how they become larger as I hover over them. And I like the footer, the bottom here. This is considered the footer. I like how all the data is located centrally. It's all centered and it ends with this little picture of a town. So these are also things I like. These are things I would mention. Now granted, I'm giving a very quick overview. Obviously, we would like you to do a much more thorough analysis of the website. As I said at the very beginning, the more detail, the more thorough you are, the quicker and more cost effective this process is. Okay, so I've listed the things I like about that site, as well as the first site. There is a box for a third site down here, and whenever possible, I definitely suggest using a third one, especially if you haven't really found your voice in the first two, but it is not a requirement, as the first two are. So once you have filled out as many of these as necessary, the last question here is whether or not you'd like us to do the hosting and upkeep on your site once it's built. So WordPress sites, which is the platform we build on, they do need updates on software, on security, and fast hosting is a huge part of your search engine optimization. So for a few more dollars than a traditional host, you get exceptionally fast hosting. We update all of your software as it needs to be updated, including your WordPress platform. We update and keep an eye on your security. And if anything does come up hosting related, we do take care of that. And we have customer service available 6 days a week. So if you are interested in having that service, you can check yes or no. There's also a more info and please ask later function. So once you've selected whether or not you want that, go ahead and submit it. You'll get a message saying that it's been sent, and we will get the form within a few moments. Once you send it, if you have any questions or you just want to let us know, feel free to call. Other than that, you'll hear from us as soon as we've reviewed it. Thank you so much for watching the video, and please feel free to call with any questions.